Hey everyone, it's Heather Nichols, and I am going to share today how to create this pair of Valentines using the Follow Your Heart background stamp as well as the Follow Your Heart sentiment set. Here I've got the background stamp set up in my MISTI. This stamp works either on a portrait or a landscape orientation on your A2 card front. I have backgrounds that I pre-stamped with the Shiplap Background stamp using Sugar Cube ink on Toffee cardstock. I'll be embossing the Follow Your Heart background, and so I'm going to use VersaMark ink with the powder tool and also gold embossing powder. We'll be doing a little bit of blending with Cherry Pop ink through the Masking Stencils Heart Collection. This is the smaller size of the two hearts. And finally, we'll be stamping sentiments onto our project using the Follow Your Heart Sentiments Clear Stamp Set and Oreo ink. To get things lined up just right on my project, I stamped the impression of the Follow Your Heart background onto the grid paper in my MISTI, and then I used a pencil to make guidelines for both a landscape or portrait orientation of this card design. After treating my background with a powder tool to eliminate static, I stamped the Follow Your Heart background with VersaMark ink and added gold embossing powder to that image. I poured off the extra, and I'll use a heat tool to melt that gold embossing powder and create this really pretty shiny arrow heart design on my project. Just as a side note, the Sugar Cube ink that I stamped with the Shiplap background was completely dry before I started any of the steps to emboss the Follow Your Heart background design. I'm adding a heart to the middle of my Follow Your Heart background using Cherry Pop ink, and the smaller of the two heart sizes in the new Masking Stencils Heart Collection fits just perfectly in the middle. It's nice because you can see through the stencil to line it up in the middle of the heart design. I have Pixie Spray on the back of the masking stencil to hold everything in place, and then I'll use a blender brush to apply the Cherry Pop ink through the heart opening. I'll clean up my masking stencil with a little bit of Stamping Spritz spray and my cleaning cloth. I'm adding a few spatters to my project using Sugar Cube ink. I've pressed it down onto an acrylic block. I'm picking it up with a water brush, and then I'm tapping that on my finger to spatter across both of my projects. I'm using the Follow Your Heart Sentiment Stamp Set to add sentiments to both of my projects. The sentiment set is a clear stamp set, and so it's very easy to see exactly where it's going to stamp on your project. Make sure your MISTI is set up to accommodate clear acrylic stamps, and then arrange the sentiment where you want it onto your heart. And once I have it where I want it, I'll close the lid of my MISTI and pick up the stamp and stamp it with black ink onto the heart on my project. The Follow Your Heart Sentiment Stamp Set includes some main words and phrases. For this project, I use love on one of them, and I'm using be mine on the other. The set also includes a bunch of smaller words and phrases that you can coordinate with the main words or with each other or however you want to customize your sentiments perfectly for your project. The last detail that I added to my project was I ran the bottom of each of the Toffee pieces of cardstock through my sewing machine to add a stitching line. I didn't do any back stitching or anything. I'm adding adhesive right along that stitching line and then folding those ends that are left over when you sew back onto the back side of the card so they won't show on my project. And then I'll add each of the pieces to a Sugar Cube card base. They're trimmed so just a little bit of white is going to show at the bottom of each card. These Valentines are ready to deliver, and I hope you enjoyed learning how to create them with the Follow Your Heart background and the Follow Your Heart Sentiment Stamp Set. You can find all of the supplies to create this project at the Tailored Expressions web store at tailoredexpressions.com. Thanks for joining me, everybody, and I'll see you next time.